And then we will have this recording of today's webinar that we'll share on our website as well as with the Department of Ag in Georgia. So anybody who wants to rewatch it or share it with some colleagues, feel free to do so. My name is Danielle Coco. I'm the Marketing and Communications Director at the Southern U.S. Trade Association. Thank you all for being here this morning. A few other things, everybody's on mute, so if you have any questions throughout the presentation, go ahead and type it into the Q&A box, or you could do it in the chat. That's fine, and we'll address all questions at the end. All right, and we'll get started. And excuse me, I almost forgot, with us, we have Sarah Cook and Chris Roche from the Department of Agriculture in Georgia. Hi, guys.
Hey, y'all.
Right. So Sarah and Chris are SUSTA activity managers. So we'll explain the whole ecosystem of SUSTA, but we work really closely together with these folks to help bring our programs into the state of Georgia for all of you fine folks. All right, so, and that's actually what I'm going to start with, is exactly who is SUSTA, what are the programs, and what do we do? So the programs that we administer are called the market access programs. They were created in the early 70s by the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Foreign Agricultural Service. It's an arm of the USDA that focuses entirely on exporting and getting U.S. agriculture out in the world. They have posts who are in U.S. embassies, in many different countries, which we'll get to in a minute. And they also have a robust staff here in the States. And then the market access program is administered by a lot of different groups, but for value-added agriculture, it is administered by SUSTA and associations like us. So if you're not headquartered in the southern region of the US, which is here in blue, then companies can access the similar programs through either WUSADA, the Western US Ag Trade Association, or Food Export Midwest or Northeast. So it's federally funded, but we work regionally, and this is our region. The departments of agriculture in each of these southern states are our members. The commissioners of agriculture or the secretaries of agriculture in each state are our board members. So Commissioner Black has been on our board for many years, actually for the last 10 years that he's been in office. And then it is folks like Sarah and Chris who are our activity managers. So SUSTA is a staff of 14 people in New Orleans, a fairly small staff to cover such a broad region. And the only way we can do it is by having such strong partnerships with the departments of agriculture. So we have activity managers that are in each state that help us, really implement the programs. If you participate in a global event with us, and let's say you're going with SUSTA to somewhere in South America or to Japan or wherever, you would most likely be with one of the activity managers that's coming from these state departments of agriculture. It might not be Sarah or Chris, it could be somebody from Tennessee. We're a regional association, so we work for the greater good of the region. So it's a really good partnership we have, but it can be a little confusing to figure out all the moving parts, so I just wanted to get all that out there. And then we do have other support as well. SUSTA has in-country consultants that are located in these countries: Canada, China, Hong Kong, Europe, India, and Mexico. So these are folks that are not government employees, they're not part of the USDA, but they help us in those markets implement our programs and mostly our events. But then we also have support from the USDA's Foreign Ag Service, as I mentioned. They staff 94 offices in 75 countries. So, when companies come to us with a specific question about, some regulation that's maybe in, in Dubai or the United Arab Emirates, we might not know the answer, but there's a really good chance that either one of our in-country representatives or somebody at FAS that we could connect you with, an expert who can answer your questions. So just know that SUSTA is, a place where you can come and ask questions, and if we don't know the answer, we probably know somebody who does. All right, So first, we will talk a little bit about eligibility. You have to be headquartered in our region, of course. Companies that we work with are small businesses by SBA, Small Business Administration standards. But in 2018, we did get another source of funding just to make things a little more complicated. So now we can work with companies that are more medium-sized. So they can be up to 3 times the SBA size limit. If you don't know if you fall under that, for a lot of manufacturers, that's 500 employees or fewer is the SBA size limit. But for some company types, it is by, I believe, revenue. So anyway, again, you can come to us if you have questions about that. But then we also try to make sure that companies, before they embark on exporting and getting really active in this, we just want to make sure that they're ready. So we want to see that a company has adequate resources and product supply, as well as from the previous year, a minimum of 50,000 in annual sales. Again, just, want to make sure that everybody's ready before jumping in. And then company types we work with, we're working with farmers and growers, as well as manufacturers, folks who are doing private label, or even export management companies who don't own the brand, aren't manufacturing, but they're just representing brands in export relationships. So it's a pretty wide variety. And of course, farmers cooperatives as well. And for farmers co-ops, there is no size limit. So there's no needing to be small for those types of companies or cooperatives. And then in terms of the products, SUSTA and the Market Access Program is developed to help companies promote brands. So we do not, we wouldn't help to work to promote Georgia peaches or Georgia poultry as a group. We would help to promote, we'd help Sally Ann's Sweet Peaches, we would help that brand promote their brand of peaches, or, a certain brand of poultry. So just keep that in mind. We're there to help promote the brands. The products have to be made from at least 50% U.S. agriculture. This is where we probably get the most questions. So what we do is, or actually what you do, because it's just you self-certify that you meet this requirement, you would look at all of the ingredients in your product and take out any water and packaging and just look at, the core ingredients. And it's determined by weight. So, some of your ingredients can be imported, but at least 50% have to be farmed, fished, or forested here in the U.S. But again, if you have questions, please come to us about that. And then the USDA likes to see an origin statement on your product indicating that it's an American product. It can be made in the USA. The Georgia Grown logo suffices for that requirement as well. So just something to keep in mind. I mean, if you don't have that on your product, it's something that you can, add a sticker if you're at a trade show. There are ways to get into compliance until you do another run of labels, but just something to keep in mind. And then product types we work with. It's quite a variety, maybe even more than you would think. We're doing everything from fresh produce, including nuts, fresh seafood, frozen foods, really any grocery staples. But in addition to that, think about pet foods that are made from at least 50% US ag content. Beverages, we're working with a lot of craft breweries and distilleries these days, horticulture products, even supplements and all natural health and beauty products that, again, meet the product eligibility requirements. So yeah, it is quite a big variety. All right, now that we got that out of the way, we can talk about the more exciting part of the presentation, which is our programs and how we help companies connect with foreign buyers and promote their products internationally. All right, so SUSTA administers 2 core programs. One is all events focused, called Global Events, which is where we're going to help you connect with those qualified foreign buyers. And then the second program is called 50% Cost Share. This is where SUSTA can reimburse some, or 50% of some international marketing expenses. The programs can be used separately or together. You just have to let us know which one you're interested in. So we'll talk first about global events. These are the event types that we would typically host in a dare I say, a normal year. So when travel and face-to-face meetings take place, we host inbound missions, outbound missions, and pavilions at international trade shows. In 2020, we have pivoted and we have moved pretty much all of these into virtual options when we can. So we'll talk about each of these. Our inbound missions are great for companies that are new to export, but we also have a lot of seasoned exporters participate in our inbound trade missions. This is where we're bringing the foreign buyers into the US to meet one-on-one with our companies. So, the beauty of it is you might not even have to leave the state of Georgia and you're gonna meet, let's say, buyers from Mexico. So it's, the barrier to entry here is low. These are usually $25. And the way that most of them are set up would be in like a hotel ballroom setting. And the US companies set up their products and their marketing materials on a table, and the foreign buyers rotate. It's always likened to speed dating. The beauty of it is, it gives you an opportunity to practice your pitch, in an international community, again, without leaving the States. But you're also getting direct feedback from those buyers. They might have some input on your flavor profile or, something about your label, whatever it might be. They know their market very well. So I always say it's good to even look at those as opportunities to even do a little research, maybe. But really, it's an opportunity to connect with these qualified buyers. So we really recommend our inbound missions for those new to export companies. The outbound trade missions are similar in that there is that speed dating component, except the US company, would be traveling overseas to the foreign country. So in addition to those one-on-one meetings, we take our companies on retail tours. So you can go into the foreign supermarkets and groceries and see what similar products are on the shelves, price points, who's the competition, just get a better feel for the market. And in addition to that, while you're in country, our consultants that I mentioned who are in market, as well as the USDA, the Foreign Ag Service staff that are posted there, they will give in-depth market briefings as well. So, it's a way to do a little bit more of a robust look at a foreign market by actually going there. And again, we try to make it incredibly affordable. Most of them are $600 with there's an opportunity to only pay $400 if you register early enough and get the early bird fee. And included in your participation fee is either one round trip ticket or one person's lodging for the whole trade mission. So, we really try to make this as feasible for a small business as possible. All right, well, of course, as I mentioned, we have had to pivot and go virtual for these. So for our inbound and outbound missions, a lot of them, what we have ended up doing since March is making them virtual. Thank goodness for Zoom. It's what's bringing us together today, but it's also how you could meet with the qualified foreign buyers that you would otherwise be meeting with in person. So the way it works is you would register online just like usual. I think these are all $25 as well. And in addition to meeting the buyer through Zoom like this, you would ship your product samples to the foreign country, to our consultant in that foreign market, and they would then disperse your samples to the buyers that you're meeting with. So we're really trying hard to make it as close to the real deal as possible, so that when you are talking over Zoom with the foreign buyer, they have your product in hand. So, it's nothing is as good as face-to-face, but we're trying darn hard to get it close. And part of the participation fee is we reimburse a certain amount, if not all, of your shipment costs to get your product samples there. So again, it's $25 for all of that. And in addition, our foreign consultants will do a market assessment that's customized for your company. So, again, it's a great alternative in these tough times. All right, and then of course, we do have pavilions at international trade shows all over the world. I would say roughly 20 trade shows a year where we organize the SUSTA pavilions. So what we do is we'll rent out anywhere from 5 to 20 booth spaces at a show and create the SUSTA pavilion. The beauty is that, you know, in a huge trade show in Germany or Australia or China, you're not just by yourself in your booth. You're when you come with us, you are part of a much bigger pavilion. I mean, you still have your own booth space where your marketing material is going to be there, your products are going to be there, but you're just part of a bigger group, and you're going to be in the U.S. pavilion. People go to the U.S. pavilions because they know that we have quality, safe products. So you know, you kind of get to lean on some of that credibility by being with us. But of course, in addition to that, our activity managers hold your hand from the minute that you sign up for the event all the way through the event itself. So, you know, they're making sure that you're meeting all your deadlines so that your logo is in the trade show directory and that your products are listed in the appropriate place. And, you know, kind of just making sure that everything is going smoothly, but also at the show, they're going to be there. So if you have any questions or there are any hiccups, you know, we have people who are there on the trade show floor helping. And those are the folks that I mentioned, like Sarah and Chris, who are from the departments of agriculture throughout our region. So we'll always have at least one, if not two, activity managers there, as well as a consultant if we have one in that foreign market. They're all different costs, but I would say for most of them, we try to reduce them greatly. So if you were to go on your own, maybe it'd be, you know, $5,000 or $7,000 for a booth. And if you come with SUSTA, it might be $1,200 or $1,500. And we also include translators if English is not the primary business language in that market. And then you'll see this image here where we have chefs in the pavilion who are preparing food. We do that at a produce trade show because it's otherwise, you know, really hard to sample things like sweet potatoes without having them prepared. So for some shows, we even have chefs on hand. We also help with the shipping costs to get your products and your marketing materials there. Usually it's up to either a certain weight that we'll provide the shipping for or a certain dollar amount. Each event is different. So I encourage you to get on our website and just take a look. And when you click on the event, you would see the cost and everything that comes with it. Of course, we are going virtual with some of our trade shows as well. The first one that we have coming up is going to be SIAL China. So that'll be our pilot and we'll see how that goes. But what we will offer for that that trade show is actually still happening, whereas most of them have just been outright canceled. So for companies that want to or that have signed up for the virtual option for SIAL China, they will ship their products and their samples to the show or to a consolidated point, and we'll get it to the show. And then our consultants will be on hand in the SUSTA pavilion to hand out the samples, to arrange Zoom meetings with people who are interested, you know, and try to facilitate some connections that way. So stay tuned for more of those types of events as well. And then of course we're hosting webinars all the time right now, really trying to tap all of the folks that I mentioned in the beginning who are part of this SUSTA ecosystem and support network to talk about, you know, different aspects of exporting, whether it's how to build your brand internationally using social media, maybe it's one just on the Mexico market. The next one we have coming up is on Japan, and that's September 16th. And it's early in the morning. It's at 8 a.m., well, 9 a.m. for Eastern, just because the time difference with Japan is so great. But usually they're more in the middle of the day. But these are free webinars. And if you have a My SUSTA account, you can always go into your account and look at all of our past webinars. We have quite a library of them now saved, and those are great places to you know, get a little more familiar with exporting and learn a few things. We have a great one on logistics, export financing. So if you do not have a My SUSTA account, please get in touch with me after, and you know, we'd be happy to walk you through that process. All right, but all of our events are listed on our website, as I mentioned. It's susta.org, and then you'd click on the events tab, /events, and you'd see the full list of events. So once you have your My SUSTA account, and when you create your account, which I'll show you a little bit later in the presentation, you let us know if you're interested in this program. And if you are, our Global Events Director will review you, assuming that you're eligible for it. When you get on this page, you can just click on events and register online, and you pay per event. So it's pretty straightforward. You know, once you're eligible, you can go in and start registering. And this is where you would find all of our other webinars. So for today, you actually registered through Zoom because we assumed that a lot of you might not have accounts yet. But for all of our educational webinars that focus on, you know, feature foreign markets or other experts, you would find the webinars also on this events page. Okay, now we are going to get into cost share. This is the program through which you can apply for 50% reimbursement of certain international marketing expenses. This is the full list of the eligible expenses that you can apply for. The ones that are highlighted and at the top are the ones that in 2020 we've really seen grow in popularity. But just keep in mind that there are, and those are the ones that I'll talk about in a minute, but I also want to point out that in a normal year when you are possibly traveling to trade shows and exhibiting at shows and different events, that there are these other expenses. So if you are exhibiting at an international trade show, you can apply to get 50% of your booth fee back. So that is whether you're coming with us on a global event, or you might be going to a trade show on your own. You know, maybe it's something we're not doing, or, you know, you have something else you want to do. If it's an international trade show, you could register and apply to get the 50% reimbursement of your booth fee. Also, you know, freight for shipping your marketing materials, creating promotional giveaway items like, you know, pins and key fobs, hiring somebody to work your booth. And then, of course, travel for 2 employees or company representatives is also eligible when you're going to those international trade shows and when you're actually exhibiting. And the travel includes flight, lodging, and a per diem. And that is, I have to say, you know, pre-COVID, we saw a lot of companies using this program to be able to go to international shows and exhibit their products and meet buyers and travel there. So now we are seeing different expenses really, as I mentioned, grow. So that would be, you know, other ways of promoting your product internationally. So advertising, of course, is a great way. You know, you can come into the cost share program for traditional advertising. So if you wanted to promote your brands in a foreign magazine or billboard, TV, radio, you could request 50% reimbursement of creating the ad, translating, you know, all of those production expenses, as well as actually, you know, placing the ad. But keep in mind, it also includes newer media like social media. If you wanted to target Instagram followers that are in Germany or Peru, you can do that. I mean, it's almost never been easier to promote your brands internationally than it is now, because from, you know, your home or your office, you can really geolocate an audience quite easily, you know, through a digital media. Or let's say you might want to actually hire a social media firm in Australia or wherever it may be to do the work for you. That's fine. You can apply for 50% reimbursement of those kinds of promotions. It also includes things like influencers. You know, we've really this year tried to open that up as much as we can, knowing that this is how companies are going to be promoting their products in the future. If you want to translate your web pages, either, you know, with a little, you know, French flag or, you know, the China flag or whatever, and have your pages on your website that are translated, or if you wanted to create a foreign URL, those expenses are also 50% reimbursable. So that would be the translation as well as the, you know, development costs for those translated pages or the foreign URL. Google ads, you know, all of that. Those are great ways to get in front of a foreign audience. And then, of course, I forgot to mention in-store displays like the one top right. You know, going to groceries is one of those essential errands that we've all been doing since March, or at least I have, and I know that's something that, you know, most people have not given up entirely. So if you want to promote your product in store and really call attention to your product on the shelf, or, you know, in an aisle like this, you can create temporary displays for the store and apply for 50% reimbursement of that. So that is just a snapshot. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, also producing your labels for a foreign market is also 50% reimbursable. In the past, this expense was just to get your labels into compliance. So I'll give an example. Let's say you're trying to export to Canada and you have to translate your labels because the Canadian government requires that your labels be in French and English. So in the past, we could only provide 50% reimbursement for that year that you were getting into compliance with their regulations, and then, you know, you would have already gotten into compliance. So the next year, you couldn't really come back for that expense. Well, now you can apply to SUSTA for 50% reimbursement of producing your foreign labels, full stop. So if you, let's say you already have labels for the Mexican market, created, you can apply for 50% reimbursement for us to produce more of your labels for Mexico. So that was an exciting development this year. And if you have questions about that, please let me know. I hope I explained that clearly. All right, so to get started, for those of you who do not have a My SUSTA account, again, you go to our website, susta.org, and you click on that little sign up at the top right. Sorry, I just got to pop up. So you just click sign up and you'll fill out some basic company information, just so that we can make sure you meet those basic eligibility requirements. So once you do that, or when you do that, you also let us know which of our programs you're interested in. So you would check off global events and or 50% cost share, or you could just click export education and resources if you're really not ready to participate yet. And what's important about this is how you're reviewed. So if you check off both programs, you'll be reviewed by both programs. But for instance, if you don't check off global events, that program director will not review you, and then you won't have access to register for the events. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, it's a pretty basic process of creating your account. But then for 50% cost share, there is another step. So again, global events, once you create your account and you're approved, you register for events online, very easy. For the cost share program, because we're reimbursing 50% of government funds, there is an application process each year. So what you do is you would let us know, okay, and it's for 2021, it's already open, but we're still accepting 2020 applications if you are going to be doing things this calendar year that you want to apply for. But you apply in advance. It's not a grant, it's a reimbursement. So right now you could be completing your 2021 application and you could let us know, okay, in Canada, I'm going to, do this big social media campaign that's going to cost $10,000. I'm requesting $5,000 from SUSTA. And then you could do, the same thing for, let's say Japan, and say, okay, in Japan, I'm doing XYZ, it's going to cost this much, and I'm requesting half from SUSTA. So that's pretty much what your cost share application is. You're letting us know what you want to get reimbursed for in what foreign countries. There is a fee associated with cost share. Again, this is cost share, not global events. Global events, it's just you pay for the event. But for cost share, when you submit your application, you'll see that there's a $250 fee when you submit your application. And then once you pay that fee, we review your application with you. We'll go through it and just make sure that everything looks right. You're not doing this on your own in a vacuum. We're really holding your hand throughout the whole process. You'll be talking with our team I'm sure quite a lot, especially if you're new to the program. So then once you have your application figured out and you've talked to us, then you would get a 6% fee on the amount that you're requesting in reimbursement. So that's the administration fee, so that we can allocate the funds. So if you're spending $20,000 on a social media campaign in Canada, you're requesting $10,000 from SUSTA, you would pay a 6% fee on the $10,000. So you'd pay us $600 to allocate that funding and hold it for you. Then, next year, anytime after January 1st, because that's what you would have applied for, is the 2021 program. You go out, you have that marketing firm do the social media campaign, and then you submit your expenses after it's over. So your invoices, your proof of payment, and the proof of activity, so that we see some of the campaign. So we cannot retroactively reimburse you. So if you did something back in June, you couldn't apply now to get reimbursed. So just something to keep in mind. You have to apply first. All right, and that is the 50% cost share program in a nutshell. It's always hard to do webinars. I feel like I'm just talking, and I hope everything made sense, and that was a good explanation. But again, this is my contact information and Sarah's and Chris's if you have questions for us. And then also Q&A is open. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat or the Q&A. All right, so we have one in. Generally, how far in advance does a company have to commit or begin taking steps to participate in a SUSTA event? Great question. So each event has a registration deadline, which I believe is usually maybe 2 months or so before the event, but it kind of depends. An inbound mission might be a little easier to register for late than like a trade show that's taking place in France or somewhere else. So that would depend for the events. But our 2021 events are open now. So again, we really try to start the 2021 year as early as possible so that companies can be making their plans. So if you go online now, you'll see our fall 2020 events that are open for registration, as well as the 2021 events.
Those are first come, first serve. So if it's a popular show, you may want to do it sooner rather than later.
And if you see an event that interests you that you missed the deadline by, 4 days, a week or something, just reach out to us and we'll make sure that we can at least ask and we can at least try to work something out. A lot of the times we're able to. So just never hesitate to reach out and let us know that that's something that, you feel is important.
Yep. That's a great point. We try to work with our companies as much as possible. So if you've missed a deadline, just let us know. And we will always try to work with you. But really each event is so different, so if you see something interesting and you click on the link, you'll see the deadline, the fee, what it includes. So definitely something to think about.
Danielle, I just wanted to point out, because it's a lot coming in at one time, especially for people that have never heard of SUSTA, that you do have the option for the education only component. So if you're not quite at that $50,000 level of annual sales, but you still want to be prepared for when you are, you can still participate in the webinars. You can still understand what markets are looking like. So you can go ahead and do that homework without being fully ready. And if you're interested in global events where you just do the inbound trade missions, those are not in the cost share application, so you don't have to pay the $250 fee. So if you want to do a virtual trade mission with a consultant in Canada, you just pay your $25 fee for that virtual trade mission. And so you can kind of just dip your toe in the water just a little bit before you hop on a plane and fly to China. So it's really beginner friendly.
Yes. Yes, I know. It is so much information all at once. So that's a great point to reiterate. Creating your SUSTA account is free. And yeah, if you just select export education and global events, you don't pay anything at that stage. Our webinars are free. Having access to, all the resources and educational components is all free.
And I wanted to point out too, because this is something I literally keep on my desk, the cost share manual is online. So if you're thinking about doing any kind of any kind of international marketing plans, you can look at that cost share manual online, and it goes into even more detail about what expenses are eligible and not. It's 100 pages of just really great information, and it's a PDF online. If you're a hard copy person, we're going to have some hard copies available too. You can just reach out to Chris or me, and we'll be glad to get you a hard copy too.
Sure. And just to build on what Sarah said about, how daunting it sounds to, get on a plane and go to China for a trade show, Danielle talked about how when you go into a trade show with SUSTA, you're part of a bigger team, really. And I mean, I was just activity manager on an event that got canceled because of COVID, unfortunately. But Expo Anton was in Mexico, and as soon as people signed up, I mean, we were booking their hotels through a block, even to the shipping of their products. We were working with the middleman in Laredo to make sure that it would get across the border, and these companies really. We were taking them through the process step by step, and there will always be somebody from some state that is doing that for you.
Yep, that's a great point, to really drive home the fact that when you come with us, that there's so much support offered. I know even if you've ever done a domestic trade show, there's a lot involved with it, right? So it's multiplied when you're going out of the country, of course, on many levels. So, having a team of people help and be there really does make things a lot easier. And actually, that brings up a point, something I did not mention with cost share. There is a list of domestic trade shows that are considered international. So think if you've ever heard of or been to the Fancy Food Show in New York or the one in California, Natural Products East in Baltimore, or West, which is also in California, the Natural Restaurant Association show, PMA, the Produce Manufacturers Association, I think it is. Anyway, it's about 20 shows that the USDA has said, hey, these are in the US, but they attract such an international audience that we're going to consider them international. You can apply for 50% of your booth fees for those international domestic shows. The only thing that we cannot help with is travel. We can never reimburse travel within the US. So, but what you could apply for is your booth fee, your shipping of your products to get them to the show, promotional giveaway items, if you have to hire somebody to help man your booth, or even if you had to rent, equipment for your booth, that kind of thing, we can reimburse half of those costs. So again, that's a way for companies to get involved in the cost share program and not be, going to a trade show in Shanghai. All right, and someone is asking if there's an example of a company who's done some of those, the social media type campaigns. And yeah, one that comes to mind, it's an orange juice company that we have out of Florida who has been doing a lot of social media campaigns in, I believe it's Australia, if I'm thinking correctly. But they are working with a firm who's in Australia to actually do the work. If you've ever, delved into things like social media, that there's a lot to it. So hiring an expert in that country, maybe Facebook in whatever country it is, isn't really the most popular, or in some countries it's not even allowed. So, hiring a marketing firm that is an expert in social media in whatever foreign country it is, is a great way to tackle those kinds of promotions. But yeah, I've seen some of the pictures of what they're doing, and it's really professional, you know, short videos that they've had on Facebook and Instagram in the foreign market, as well as, you know, other ads and things like that. So it's a great way to get some recognition. Would SUSTA help to make sure we're in compliance with our packaging? That's a great question. So each foreign country has different regulations, and we are not experts in all of that at all. But what we do have are those connections to people who are. So the USDA folks who are posted overseas, they are who we would send you to. So if there was a specific country that you were interested in modifying your labels for, we would put you in touch with the agriculture trade office in that country. So that's, you know, a USDA US employee, but they're posted there. They really know the most current regulations, because these things change. In fact, I know the packaging and label regulations in Mexico did change this year, but it's the ATO there in Mexico that sends us that information. So they create reports every year called GAIN reports. We have those posted on our website, but you can also find them on the USDA website, or, you know, I can send them directly to you. But you can also contact the ATO directly. We can put you in touch with them to ask more specific questions about getting into compliance. Since dog treats are totally different than human food, would that be included? Yes. Yep. It's made from you know, as long as it's made from U.S. agriculture, and yeah, those are all eligible products, and they would know, you know, what's required for that as well. Yeah, pet products are quite popular.
Danielle, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Commissioner Black is called in via phone.
Yes.
Is there a way we can unmute him individually? It's the one call-in number.
Oh yeah, the 404.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Commissioner Black.
I'm seeing that he's still muted on the screen.
Yeah, I see it mute still.
Okay. Oh, I just hit unmute.
Oh, here you
Good
go.
morning, Sarah. Yeah,
Good morning.
most everybody tells me I need to put a sock in it all the time anyway, so the muting was appropriate, probably. Good morning, everyone. I don't need to interrupt good questions and the rest of the thing. I just wanted y'all to know I was here. We've been kind of bouncing in and off the web, so it's not it was better to get the phone finally here. But just thanks to our SUSTA team and everybody that's on here today. This is exciting, y'all. We're not really totally good in the way of trade, I promise you. And got some good things going on, and we've got. I'm still excited. We're a little delayed. And we would have already been in a lot of places this year, but this new set of rules is out there for us. But just know we you know, just in with the Georgia Grown member a while ago with leather goods, and that about some of these trade opportunities too. So, but don't put your hands, put your trust in Sarah, Georgia Grown team, and just know that we're going to be there. It's open, and use these good resources from that we have from certainly from our friends at SUSTA. But y'all, that might I just will. I'm gonna keep on listening, but thanks for letting me patch in just a second, Sarah.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining, Commissioner Black. Does anybody else have any questions?
Well, I think I saw Lauren's question. She said dog treats are totally different than human food. Would that be included? And on one of your slides, pet foods was specifically included. So I think that covers that. And I think that one of the domestic trade shows, I pulled up my manual so I could look. One of the domestic trade shows was a pet food forum. So that's in the United States, but it is covered for cost share reimbursement, like you said, as one of those domestic shows that pulls enough international attention. So
that's right.
Even the pet food applies.
Global Pet Expo is the one. I think it's usually in Orlando. But yes, that qualifies as a domestic show that's considered international. So let us know if you have more questions about that, and we'd be happy to, help facilitate, that participation as well.
We have a growing pet food industry in Georgia. We're very excited about our Georgia grown producers. So
Great.
We're seeing that really more and more.
Fantastic. Great. I know. And I think National Dog Day was earlier this week. So,
Absolutely.
Loving our pets, but we're not the only ones. It is actually, it's a pretty big segment of export sales that come out of the U.S. I mean, of course, we're producing pretty nice quality pet food, and that is definitely a growing sector.
Sure. And then Danielle, I know we talked about this on our prep call, but I wanted to point out for people that haven't had a chance to look at the SUSTA website, some of those webinars that you have archived are not specifically related to particular countries. They're just good basic for border or what does logistics look like. So if people need some good general information, just building out their base, that's there too, and I really appreciate that.
Yep. So that's once you have your My SUSTA account and you log in, you can click on past webinars and you'll see our whole library of webinars. And as I mentioned, we did a ton in this COVID period. We were doing them once a week for a while, and now we've kind of reined that in a little bit, and we're not doing them every week, but they're featuring experts in different countries or on different topics, like Sarah mentioned. The great one we had on logistics. We had somebody who was talking just about, using social media to build your brand in a foreign country and how to, the things to think about. So it's a range of topics, XM Bank and some of the other tools and services that are available. All right. Does anybody else have questions? Again, our contact information is up on the screen, so feel free to reach out to us individually if anything comes up, and let us know if you have anything that we can help you with. Sarah and Chris, can you think of anything else?
No, I think this is great. I think that SUSTA really has a lot of good opportunities for our Georgia members, and we're only more and more excited every day to participate in this and leverage these dollars and this education for our companies, because we see a lot of potential. Y'all just reach out to Chris, reach out to me, let us help you be boots on the ground, and we really hope that we see some good movement on an international scale. We appreciate your support, Danielle.
Yeah, well, thank you guys so much. We appreciate your partnership, and we look forward to working with all of you, and take care. We'll be in touch.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.